Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 2 of Unit 6 Animal Tissue. In previous session, we discussed about different types of animal tissue. In total, there are four different animal tissue. The first one we discussed about is epithelial tissue, then muscular tissue, then we discussed about nervous tissue. Now, in this session, we'll be discussing about the fourth animal tissue known as connective tissue. So, as the name suggests, this tissue connects different types of tissue present in our body. So that is why connective tissue is defined as the animal tissue which binds the different types of tissues together of the body. As a tissue, it is composed of cells. Along with cells, it is also composed of non-living intercellular substance known as matrix and fibers. Among the four different types of cells, tissues, this connective tissue, it is found the most abundant and widely distributed tissue in the body, and it almost constitutes about 30% of the body. In terms of origin, it is mesodermal in origin, and when you talk about functions, then the primary function of connective tissue is to bind the different cell or tissues together. Beside that, it also has got other various functions, like it stores lipid or fat in the cells known as adipose cells. Similarly, it supports our body by the help of bone and cartilage. It provides the hard surface for muscle attachment with the help of tendon that we'll discuss in coming slides. Similarly, it transports different materials like nutrients, waste, oxygen, carbon dioxide from one place to another in the body. It also defends our body against foreign particles like microorganisms and toxic substances. It replaces different dead and damaged tissue from our body, and it insulates the body. So overall, the main function of connective tissues are binding different tissues of body. It supports our body. It protects us from the foreign particles. It helps to form blood in our body. It stores fat, and it also fills the space present between the tissue. Now, when you talk about composition, then as I told you before, it is composed of three components: cells, fibers, and matrix. So here, fibers and matrix, they are non-living substances. So first, let's talk about cells. So as a tissue, connective tissue is made up of cells, and it is, of course, living components which are widely distributed in the non-living substance known as matrix. And matrix can be liquid, solid, or semi-solid. And as a cells, so the following type of cells can be found in connective tissue. The first one we discuss here is fibroblast. So it is a fibroblast means it helps to form fibers, which is one of the components of connective tissue. So in terms of cells, they are elongated and irregular in shape that you can see in the figure here, with the long protoplasmic process that you can see in the figure. They have a very distinct oval shaped nucleus, and it helps to form the fiber and as well as secrete the matrix, which is also the component of connective tissue. The another cell that we have in connective tissue is macrophage. It is also known as histiocytes. These are large irregular shaped or amoeboid shaped cells, and when you look at the kidney, then kidneys are distinct, and it is shape of kidney, and it is capable of changing the shape continuously and can ingest any damaged cell tissue that is found nearby with the help of the process known as phagocytosis. The next cell we have is mast cell. So mast cells, they are also the large cells with the oval shaped nucleus. They produce various chemicals like heparin, histamine, and serotonin. So each chemical has got a function. Like the first chemical known as heparin, it helps to clot the blood, whereas histamine, it gets activated when there occurs allergy. So when the allergy takes place, then it helps to swell the body parts by swelling the artery so that the more blood flow through that area and those unwanted substances get washed away quickly. And serotonin, the third chemical, it just act opposite to the histamine. It does vasoconstriction. It means it will contract the artery that was swollen during the allergy. The fourth we have is plasma cells. So these are the small, round, irregular cells produced by the division of lymphocytes. Lymphocyte is a kind of WBC, and it secretes antibodies. So when you talk about antibodies, of course, it is related with the immune system. So it helps to defense our body by neutralizing different antigens. And the last one is lymphocytes. So as I told you before, it is a kind of WBC, and it may be found in connective tissue, and it helps to secrete antibodies and helps in building up the immune system by neutralizing different microorganisms like virus, bacteria, and foreign particles like toxins. Now, the second composition of connective tissue is fibers. So, fibers are thread-like structures that you can see in the figure here. So, it is non-living components present in the connective tissue, and it is present throughout the matrix in different amount. So there are three types of fibers that you can find in the connective tissue. The first one is collagen or white fiber. So why it is called collagen fiber? Because it is made up of protein known as collagen. So collagen fiber is made up of collagen. And when you go to the structure, then collagen fiber is long, unbranched and white fiber, and it always remain in bundle. And it is flexible but not elastic. So it is inelastic. It is flexible means it can change the shape, but it doesn't get stretched. So it is inelastic. So such fibers are found in tendon. The tendon means the one which connects muscles with bone. The next fiber we have is elastic fiber or yellow fiber because it looks yellow in color. So why it is called elastin fiber? Because it is made of a protein known as elastin protein, and the structure it is long but branched structure. Collagen fiber is unbranched, whereas elastin is branched that you can see in the figure. Here the branches are visible, and it is flexible in nature as well as elastic. So it has got two properties. It is elastic as well as flexible, whereas collagen is only flexible but not elastic. So such fiber, the elastin fiber, it is found in ligament between the bones. The third fiber that we have is reticulate fiber that you can see here. So it is made of a protein known as reticulin protein. And when you talk about structure, then they are not long fiber. They are very short, fine thread-like colorless fiber. It has no any color, and they are interconnected to form a network called stroma, which cover the internal organs and shape those internal organs. Now the third and the last component of connective tissue is matrix. So as we told before, it is non-living uh, substance, and it can be liquid, it can be semi-solid, or it can be solid, and it is always present between the cell, so known as matrix. So it may be made of organic or inorganic substances like glycoproteins, mycopolysaccharides, and hyaluronic acid. And it can be found in either jelly-like or gel-like condition. Now let's discuss about types of connective tissue. So there are three types of connective tissue. Proper connective tissue, so it is mainly responsible to bind the different tissues present in the body. Supportive connective tissue, it is related with support. So example, bone and cartilage, which will support our body. And fluid connective tissue, so they are in the liquid state. So example, blood and lymph. So one by one we'll be discussing about them. So proper connective tissue, so as the name suggests, it is proper, and connect means it is mainly responsible to link or bind different tissue of body, and on the basis of matrix they have, it is divided into two types. One is loose proper connective tissue and other is dense proper connective tissue. In the loose connective tissue, the cells and fibers are embedded in jelly-like matrix. So as I told before, matrix is two types. One is jelly-like and other is gel-like. So in jelly-like, there is presence of more water, so that's why it looks like jelly. So because of that, it is soft in nature. So it is two types, areolar and adipose tissue. In areolar tissues, the it is mainly responsible to join skin with the muscles. Muscles lie under the skin. So this tissue play the role to connect muscles with skin. Similarly, it also packs uh, different layers that is present in the gut, submucosa and muscularis mucosa. Similarly, it also makes the packs between skin and muscles to fill the space between the tissue. So since it is helping to pack in between skin and muscles and between submucosa and muscularis mucosa present in the gut, it is also known as packing tissue. And its main function is to support internal organs. Next we have is adipose tissue. So adipose tissue is related with storing fat, and the cells which are involved here is known as adipocytes. So it helps to secrete fat in adipose tissue. That's why adipocytes are also called fat secreting cells. And adipocytes, we can see two types based on the color of fat they produce. So one is white adipocytes and other is brown adipocytes. So white adipocytes, they are white in color and secrete white or yellow colored fat. So this adipocyte color secrete the fat which are either white or yellow in color, and it is mostly located in abdomen and around hip and buttocks. We have another adipocytes known as brown adipocytes, and it it is brown in color and secrete brown color fat, and this kind of fat is commonly visible in newly born baby, so that's why it is also known as baby fat. Generally, such tissue is found surrounding kidneys, in hypodermis of skin, that means below the skin, around eyeballs, and our facial bone, the bone of faces, and on the surface of heart. So that's why it helps to regulate our body temperature by insulating our body from the loss of heat. And next function of it is to store the fat, because all the glucose that we eat will not be consumed. So extra glucose converts into fat and will store in this kind of tissue. Now let's go to dense connective tissue. So here the matrix will be gel-like. So in loose connective tissue, the matrix was jelly-like, but here the matrix is gel-like. So that is why here it is a bit hard and dense, and due to the presence of gel-like matrix as well as collagen fibers. And since this fiber is found in maximum amount, so that's why it is also called fibrous connective tissue. And this is of three types based on what kind of fibers are present. So white fibrous tissue. So it is it is made up of white fiber, or it is white fiber is collagen fiber, which have flexibility but no elastic, that we discussed before when we discussed about types of fiber. So it is composed of thickly packed inelastic and tough white fiber, that is collagen fiber, and it is located in suture joint of skull bones. So our skull bones have got the small bones, and those bones are joined together by such fibrous tissue. Similarly, it is present in the outermost layer of eye, that is called sclerotic layer of eye. Similarly, it is also present in the outer layer of cartilage, that is called perichondrium. Similarly, it is also present in the outer layer of bone known as periosteum, and it is also present in the tendon. And tendon is a connective tissue which binds our muscles with the bone. The next we have is elastic connective tissue. So elastic connective tissue is made up of elastic fiber, which is yellowish fiber, and it has got both flexibility as well as elastic. So it is composed of yellow elastic fiber. That's why it is also known as yellow fibrous connective tissue. And such tissue is located in larynx or windpipe, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs, wall of arteries, and also in the ligament. So this kind of tissue provide elasticity as well as flexibility, and it is also present in the ligament. So ligament is the one which joins our bones together. So here you can see the ligament is joining the two different bones. So it provides our bone flexible as well as elastic whenever we are moving the bones. The next tissue we have is reticular tissue. So it is composed of the third fiber, that is called reticulate fiber. It is colorless fiber, and that's why it is also called reticulate connective tissue. And it is a short fiber that we discussed before, and it is interconnected and form the network-like structure known as stroma over the internal organs like liver and spleen, and helps to protect those organs. Similarly, it also connect unstriped muscle. Unstriped muscle means involuntary muscles together. Now let's go to the second types of connective tissue. There are total three types of connective tissue, as I told you before. The first one is proper connective tissue, we discussed just now. Now supportive. Proper connective tissue was mainly concerned with connecting the different tissues. Now supportive connective tissue, it is mainly concerned with supporting the body, and of course it will protect the internal organs with the help of cartilage and bone. So cartilage and bone are the example of supportive connective tissue. So since they are forming a bone, that's why it is also known as skeletal tissue. So since it forms our body framework as well as protects internal organs, so it is very much important connective tissue in our body. So the first type of supportive connective tissue we'll discuss here is cartilage. So we all have seen cartilage. It is normally present at our nose tip, ear pinna. Ear pinna means our external ear, and the trachea. So it is strong, of course, but it has no any blood supply. So that's why it is called avascular and flexible skeletal tissue. Our bone is not flexible, whereas cartilage is flexible. There is no blood supply, so avascular and is strong. So cartilage is strong, avascular and flexible skeletal tissue, and it contains two types of different type of cells. The one is immatured and undifferentiated cells known as chondroblast, and when it divides and give the new cells, and it becomes matured and differentiated, and such cells are called chondrocytes. So here chondro means cartilage and cyte means cells. So cartilage is made up of two different type of cells. The immature one is known as chondroblast, and the mature one is known as chondrocytes. So chondroblast will form the chondrocytes. So its matrix contains semi-solid protein. So the matrix is present here, in between the cells, and that matrix contains a kind of protein known as chondrin. And this our cartilage, it is covered from outside by thin layer of structure which is very much hard, is known as perichondrium. So chondroblast or chondrocytes, they lie in single or in group. You can see here in the space called lacuna. In some case you can find only one cell, or in some case you can find three. Here you have found four. So the number can vary. So the cells of cartilage, so cell means it could be chondroblast or it could be chondrocytes. They lie either in single or in group within a space that is present in the cartilage, and the space is called lacuna. So the cartilage, especially, it covers our bone surface at joint so that it can absorb the shock. So one main function of cartilage bone is to shock the absorb the shocks. On the basis of nature of matrix, there are four types of cartilage. So the first is hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, fibrocartilage, and calcified cartilage. So it is all categorized based on the nature of matrix. The first we'll discuss about is hyaline cartilage. So in Greek language, hyalus means clear or transparent. So its matrix is transparent because it has no fibers. So that's why the matrix looks very clear. And since there is no any fiber, so it is flexible and somewhat elastic. And because of no any fibers, it looks clear. That's why it is also known as crystal. And among the four types of cartilage, this kind of cartilage is the most abundant cartilage. So it can be asked in exam, especially in MCQ. So please remember, hyaline cartilage is the most abundant cartilage, and it covers joint surface, in the ribs, nose, tracheal rings, etc. In embrace of all the vertebrates, it forms the bone skeletal cartilage. The next we have is elastic cartilage. So as the name suggests, it has got fiber now, and the name of fiber is elastin fiber, which is yellowish in color. So it is flexible as well as elastic. That's why this kind of cartilage is flexible as well as elastic. And since it is made up of elastin fiber, which is yellow in color, so that's why it is also known as yellow fibrous cartilage. And it is found in eustachian tube. It is found in our internal ear, epiglottis. It is the opening of ear tube, and then it is epiglottis is the it's not opening, sorry, it is the bulb over the glottis, and glottis is the opening of ear tube which lead into the lung, and similarly our external ear pinna. So elastic cartilage is found in these parts. Now let's go to next cartilage, that is called fibrocartilage. So it is the strongest cartilage among all other cartilage type. So we have four cartilages, you already know. So among them, fibrocartilage is the strongest cartilage because it contains less number of cells and matrix, and have more collagen fiber. So because of more collagen fiber, it looks white in color. That's why it is also known as white fibrous cartilage. Before, if you remember, the elastic cartilage was known as yellow fibrous cartilage because there was presence of elastic cartilage which is yellow in color, and fibrocartilage has got the more collagen fiber which is white in color. That's why it is called white fibrous cartilage. And in such cartilage, there is no outer layer known as perichondrium, and it is found in between uh, vertebra. So vertebral bone, there are total 30 31 vertebral bones in our backbone. So in between, you can find this kind of cartilage, and it helps to it helps to absorb the shock whenever there is any kind of pressure, and it is also uh, present in the public symphysis around joints of the bone. The next is calcified cartilage. Actually, it is not the new cartilage, it is the modified form of hyaline cartilage. When the hyaline cartilage is deposited with more calcium carbonate in matrix, then this cartilage is formed. Because of deposition of more calcium, it is hard, tough, and non-elastic. And such cartilage is found in superscapula of pectoral girdle. Pectoral girdle means in the upper side we have the pectoral girdle. So there you can find it. In the pelvis of all frogs, in the head of humerus is the longest bone of our body, and humerus is found in the upper arm, and femur is found in the lower part of the body, and femur is the longest bone, not humerus. And in vertebra of sharks you can find such kind of cartilage. Now let's go to another supportive connective tissue, which is bone. So bone, you already know, it is strong and vascular, means it is supplied with the blood vessels, and it is non-flexible because of deposition of calcium and phosphorus minerals. And its matrix has got protein known as osin. In cartilage, there was a protein known as chondrin, and here, in the case of supportive connective tissue in the bone, its matrix has got a special protein known as osin, and the salt, which is rich in calcium and phosphorus. It also contains two different type of cells. The immature one is known as osteoblasts, and mature one is known as osteocyte. So here osteo represent means bone and cyte means cell. So osteoblast later on gives osteocytes. So whenever you check the lacuna means space. So it has only one osteocyte or osteoblast. In the case of cartilage, one lacuna can have one or many. There was no any kind of obligation, so it could be one chondrocytes or many. But in the case of bone, one lacuna can have only one cell, that is known as either osteocyte or osteoblast, and it also has got the some protoplasmic process that we'll discuss later in its structure, and that is called canaliculi, and that space is filled up with the liquid, and it provides structural frame to body because it is a non-flexible and hard structure. So that's why it provides structural frame to our body, as well as it protects internal organs. And there is a branch of biology which deals with the study of bones, and that branch of biology is known as osteology, that we discuss in class 11. And inside the bone we can see the hollow cavity, and this hollow cavity is known as bone marrow cavity. And this bone marrow cavity contains two types of bone marrow. One is red bone marrow and other is yellow bone marrow. So red bone marrow, it is present towards the end of the bone. End of the bone is known as epiphysis, whereas yellow bone marrow, it is present in the middle part of the bone, and the middle part of bone is known as diaphysis. So red bone marrow, it is responsible to produce blood cells, whereas yellow bone marrow, which is present at the middle area of the bone, it is responsible to store the fat like adipose tissue. And main function of a bone is to support uh, the body of animal by forming the endoskeleton. And when you talk about the bone, then bone is the hard structure, and its outer cover, the bone outer layer, is covered by a tough layer, and the tough layer is known as periosteum. So this is periosteum, and its matrix is solid structure, and this solid structure is consists of various layers that you can see. This is one layer, two layer, three layer, four layer, you can see, and those layers are arranged in the form of ring, and this structure is known as lamella, and they have numerous small space in between, and that space is called lacuna, and that lacuna contains only one each lacuna contains only one cell, that could be osteoblast or osteocyte. And when you look at the figure, then each lacuna gives off many branches rotating in all direction, and those branches are known as canaliculi, which is filled with the liquid. And the long bone has the canal that you can see at the center, and this center is canal that you can see here. This is the canal, and this canal is known as lamella. This canal is known as Haversian canal, which is present around the lamella. Lamella means these layers are called lamella, and at the center of the lamella we can find the tubular structure, and that is known as Haversian canal, and it contains inside blood vessels and nerve fibers. And this is the one Haversian canal, this is another. So each lamella at the center you can find the Haversian canal, and those Haversian canals are interconnected by the horizontal structure that is known as Boltzmann canals. On the basis of its formation, there are types of bone. So how the bones are formed? It is of three types. So those bones could be cartilaginous, membranous, and sesamoid. So cartilaginous bone, this bone is formed by ossification of cartilage bone. So here what will happen is uh, the bone is formed by the deposition of minerals on the cartilage bone. Example, limb bone and vertebra. So in the newborn baby, those limb bones are made up of cartilage. Later on, that cartilage bone will be replaced by the hard bone due to the deposition of minerals, and such bone is known as cartilage bone. Membranous bone, this kind of bone is formed by ossification of intramembranous membrane. So it is also known as investing or dermal bone. So it was a membranous structure, and later on it turns into bone by the deposition of minerals. Example is skull, jaw, ribs, pectoral girdle, etc. And the last type of bone according to the formation is known as sesamoid bone. So this is formed by ossification of tendon or ligament. So if the tendon or ligament is hugely deposited by the minerals, then it get structure of bone, and this kind of bone is known as sesamoid bone. Example, patella or fibula bone. On the basis of shape and size, the bone is of four types, namely flat bone, irregular bone, short bone, and long bone. So as the name suggests, the flat bone, it is flat in shape, so it is dorsoventrally flat, and such bones are normally found in skull, sternum, or the thoracic region, and ribs or thoracic area, and ilium of pelvic area. So these all bones are flat in shape. Irregular bone means it has no any particular shape. It is irregular in shape. Example, the bones present in the face, our ear ossicles, the bone present in our ear, inside in the internal, in the middle ear, and vertebral bone. So they don't have any particular shape. Next, we have a short bone. So it is short and small in size. So the bones present in carpals and tarsals. So carpals and tarsal, these are the bones present in our fingers and toes. So they are small and short in structure. So such bones are called short bone. And the long bone, it is long and large in size, and such bones are present in the limbs. Example, our femur is present in the our upper limb, and humerus is present in the lower limbs. So those are the long and large in size. So this kind of bones have got two parts. The upper part, the in part is known as epiphysis, and the middle area is known as diaphysis. So on the basis of matrix present in the bones are of two types. One is spongy and compact. So spongy bone, it is present at the end in the epiphysis region. So spongy bone, it is found at the end part of the long bone known as epiphysis. So since they are soft in nature because they got spongy structure inside, so that's why name could be spongy bone, soft bone, extremity bone, in bone, cancellous bone, or trabecular bone. Whereas we have the middle area where the bone is hard, and the middle area is called diaphysis, so it is harder one. So such bone is known as compact bone, hard bone, or middle bone, or soft bone, or cortical bone. So in the spongy area, the which is present the epiphysis of the long bone, it is spongy bone. It is present in the epiphysis of bone, and such bone is filled with the red bone marrow only, along with the myelin tissue containing stem cells. So such stem cells, it can convert into hematopoietic tissue and form the blood corpuscles. So red bone marrow is responsible to produce blood cells because it consists of the tissue known as myelin tissue with the stem cells, and these cells are responsible to produce blood corpuscles. And it doesn't have the Haversian system that we talk about. Uh, it doesn't have any like canal which contains blood and nerves. Now let's go to the diaphysis area, which is the harder bone, and that bone is known as compact bone. And it is present on the diaphysis of bone, means middle area of the bone, and it is filled with all yellow bone marrow, having the fatty tissues because it stores the fat. It also has got some stem cells, and that stem cells is responsible to form the fat, cartilage, and bone. But in emergency case, it can also form the hematopoietic tissue and manufacture blood corpuscles. So this kind of bone has got Haversian system. Now, ossification that we discussed already, it is the process of formation of bone is called ossification, and it happens by the deposition of minerals. So it is two types. One is endochondral and other is intramembranous. So endochondral means it is the process of formation of bone by the transformation of cartilage into bone. Intramembranous ossification, here the bone is formed directly from connective tissue, and such bone which is formed by intramembranous process is known as uh, intramembranous cartilage bone or investing or membrane bone. So in this case, the bone is formed by the cells called osteoblast, and later on osteoblast turn into osteocyte. So these cells, it will first secrete matrix, which is made up of collagen, and then there will be presence of protein. Later on, it will be deposited with minerals made up of calcium and phosphorus. And cells which are present in the ossification process, they will uh, they are known as osteoclast in general, and these cells produce enzyme which will remove the minerals from the matrix. And for the process of ossification, two hormones play a vital role, and the name of those hormones are calcitonin. This hormone is secreted by thyroid gland, and we have another hormone known as parathyroid hormone. It is secreted by parathyroid gland. Now let's go to the last type of connective tissue, which is known as fluid connective tissue. So as the name suggests, it is liquid in state. So example is blood and lymph. So in such tissue, there is lack of fibers. So means this kind of tissue has got only matrix and cells, and it lacks fibers. So blood, we all have seen it is red in color, and it is red in color due to a pigment known as hemoglobin. All right, so hemoglobin makes the blood red in color. So it is composed of two components, plasma. Here, plasma is matrix, and corpuscles cells. So as I told before, it doesn't have fibers. And in normal adult, normal adult has got around 5 liters of blood, and it constitutes 8% of body weight. Now let's discuss one by one. The first we'll discuss about blood plasma, which represents matrix, and it is liquid state, and its color is pale yellow, and it makes almost 55% of blood by volume. So initially when you take the blood, then it all is red in color. Once it settle down for half an hour, then you can see the two distinct layer. The upper layer, which is pale yellow color, that is plasma, and the down one, the thick red uh, portion, which is known as blood corpuscles or blood cells. So plasma occupies 55% of blood by volume, and when you look at the plasma only, then it is almost 90 to 92% water. So it is major part is water. Along with that, 7% protein, 1% mineral, and other inorganic substances 1 to 2%. So plasma contains few proteins known as plasma proteins like albumin, globulins, and these albumins helps to maintain blood osmotic pressure. And we have next protein called globulin. It helps to maintain transportation of material as well as natural and acquired immunity to infection. The function of blood plasma is to carry or transport nutrients, waste materials, hormones from one part of body to another part of body. It also produces antibodies by the help of globulin protein, helping to develop immune system in our body. It regulates body temperature by the help of the water present in it. It maintains osmotic pressure by the help of protein known as albumin, by holding water in blood. And it maintains blood pH by neutralizing strong acid and base with plasma protein. Now let's go to the next component of blood, and it is known as blood corpuscles or blood cells. And plasma occupies 55%, means our blood corpuscles occupy 45% of total volume of blood. And the blood cells, they are formed by liver, spleen, thymus gland, lymph node, and bone marrow. And the process of formation of blood cell is known as hemopoiesis or hematopoiesis. And blood cells, there are three types of blood cells: RBC, WBC, and platelets. Red blood corpuscles or cells, also known as erythrocytes. And when you look at the figure of erythrocytes, it is circular, biconcave. Biconcave means the central part is depressed because it doesn't have nucleus inside it, and it is disc-shaped in structure and doesn't have nucleus, as I told before. And the lifespan of a red blood cell is 120 days or 4 months. And in 1 millimeter cube of blood, the number of RBC is 48 to 55 lakhs. That means it is the maximum number of blood cell found in the red color. That's why our blood is red in color. And the RBC is red in color because of not its own color, but it has got the pigment, and that pigment is made of iron and protein known as hemoglobin. And the function of hemoglobin is to carry oxygen in the form of oxyhemoglobin and carbon dioxide in the form of carbaminohemoglobin. RBCs, they are formed from erythroblast in liver of human fetus, and in the case of adult human, it is formed in red bone marrow present in the epiphysis of bone. And this process of formation of RBC is called erythropoiesis. And the rate of ratio of RBC and WBC in healthy human is 600 is to 1. That means if one WBC, then there should be equivalent 600 RBC. So if a person has less hemoglobin, then This condition is known as anemic condition, where the person uh, will will be having weakness problem, get tired soon, and looks pale in color. Now let's go to next blood cells known as white blood corpuscles or leukocytes. And when you look at the figure of it, it is some of them are spherical in shape, and some of them they change in shape. That's why it is called irregular in shape. And the lifespan is short because it is supposed to fight with the germs and foreign particles. So that's why it will survive just for 12 to 20 days. And in 1 cubic millimeter of blood, it is present around 4,500 to 10,000 WBC. And the main function of white blood corpuscle is to maintain immunity of our body by fighting against germs and keep us safe from disease. And the white blood cells, it is formed from stem cells present in the bone, and the process of formation of WBC is known as leukopoiesis. If the WBC count is more in our body, then such condition may lead into the disease known as leukemia. But normally when the person is having infection, in that condition also white blood cells will be more in body. But if it is extremely more, then it is known as leukemia. And there are two types of WBC presence based on presence or absence of protein known as granules. So if the granule is present, then that is called granular WBC. If granular protein is absent in that WBC, then it is called agranular WBC. So we'll discuss about that. So agranular means it doesn't have granules protein in their cytoplasm. That's why the cytoplasm looks clear. The upper one you can see in both case, the cytoplasm is without granules, so that's why it looks clear. And the nucleus has no any lobes produced out, so uh, it is smooth in surface. So on the basis of shape of nucleus and function, and the granular leukocytes, it is two types. First is lymphocyte, then monocyte. So lymphocyte in total WBC, it it accounts for 20 to 25% of total WBC. And when you look at its shape, then the nucleus is somehow spherical in shape or oval in shape also you can say. And the main function of lymphocyte is to produce antibodies, and antibodies helps to fight against foreign antigens like toxin or microbacteria or virus. And it is for the two types, B and T lymphocytes. So B lymphocyte, it is produced in bone, and T lymphocyte, it is produced in thymus gland. Monocytes, it is uh, produced in very little amount. It is just 3 to 8% of the WBC. But in terms of size, so among these different type of WBC, so it is the largest cell. If you are asked what kind of WBC is the largest one, then your answer is monocytes. And if you look at the nucleus, then it is horseshoe shaped. It is bent like U shaped, so horseshoe shaped nucleus it has got, and its function is to remove dead cells and damaged components of the blood by phagocytosis. That's why its function is scavenger. So it depends upon dead particles of the cell. Now let's go to another type of WBC, which is known as granuloleukocytes. So it has got granules in their cytoplasm. So that's why you can see here the cytoplasm contains dotted structure, and those dotted structures are due to presence of granules. And the nucleus is having the lobes, so means extra projections you can see here. In the case of agranula, the surface of nucleus was smooth, but here in the case of granular leukocytes, the nucleus has got extra growth, and that is called lobes. So based on the number of lobes in the nucleus, it is for the three types, so neutrophil, basophil, and eosinophil. So neutrophil, among the five different type of WBC, So the first two is agranulocyte and the lower one is granulocyte. So total five types of WBC. So neutrophil, it is the most abundant uh, WBC cells, almost present about 60 to 70% of WBC. So please remember, it can be asked in MCQ. Which WBC is found the most abundant? Then your answer is neutrophil. So when you look at the nucleus, it has got 3 to 5 lobes in the nucleus. So nucleus have got lobes coming outside. So number could be 3 to 5 lobes, and the it is phagocytic in nature, means it can engulf the foreign particles. So it helps to uh, engulf the pathogens and destroy them. So it is helping to kill the microorganisms that is present in the body. Next is basophil. So basophil, it is present the least number among the five. So it is just present 0.5 to 1%, which is really least in number. So it could be asked which one is found in least number, then your answer is basophil. So it has got 2 to 3 lobes. Few lobes are present, and it is involved in showing allergy by secreting those chemicals that we discussed before also. So producing histamine, heparin, and serotonin. So heparin it acts as an anticoagulant agent. Histamine, it helps to swell the artery to increase the flow of blood, and serotonin, it helps to contract the artery to control the flow of blood during the allergy. Next, we have eosinophil. It contains about 2 to 3% of total WBC, and it has just two lobes that you can see in the nucleus, and it is also involved in allergic reactions, same like basophil. Now, third blood cell we have is platelets. It is also called thrombocytes, and it is irregular in shape and without nucleus in mammals, but in others it is with the nucleus, and it is cell fragment. It is made up of fragment of cells. And among the three types of blood cells, RBC, WBC, platelets, platelets is the smallest one. And lifespan is really short because it has no nucleus, just 7 to 10 days only. And the number is in every 1 cubic millimeter of blood, we will find 1.5 to 4 lakhs. And the main function of platelet is to clot the blood by releasing the chemical known as thromboplastin in the blood. So let's discuss how the blood clot takes place. When there will be cells damage, then the platelets and the damaged cells, it will release the plasma protein known as thromboplastin. So this thromboplastin will trigger the formation of an enzyme known as thrombokinase, and this enzyme, with the help of calcium ions present in the blood, it converts inactive prothrombin present in the blood into thrombin, which acts as soluble, which acts on the protein known as fibrinogen present in the plasma, converted into insoluble fibrin. So this insoluble fibrin and the damaged cell, they collectively forms the solid structure and helps in clotting the blood. So function of blood is categorized into three points. One is transportation, regulation, and protection. So it helps to transport oxygen, nutrients, waste materials, hormones from one part of body to another part of the body. In regulation, it helps to control our body temperature. It also, and in terms of protection, it helps to kill or suppress the microorganisms and toxin by the help of WBC. So it protects our body from different antigen and disease. Now the next connective tissue, fluid connective tissue we have is lymph. So lymph is similar in composition with blood, uh, except it lacks RBC. RBC, platelets, and plasma protein, which is required for clotting. So it is similar in composition to blood, but some part of blood is missing here, like RBC is missing, platelets missing, plasma protein is missing. And it flows through different kind of blood vessels, tube, that is known as lymphatic vessels. So it has got separately. The red one that you see here, it represents blood vessels, whereas the we have different here vessel that you see, it is lymphatic vessels. So through the blood vessels, blood flows, and through the lymphatic vessel, lymph flows. And there is an interconnection between the blood vessel and the lymphatic vessel. So the lymph that flows through the lymphatic vessel, it will be drained into the subclavian vein of venous system when it is moving throughout the body. And this lymph will act as a bridge between blood and tissue and helps to exchange nutrition and waste present in our body. So 50% of lymph that is present in our body, it is formed in interstitial space, means the space that is present between the tissue of lymphoid tissue like lymph nodes, thymus gland, spleen, tonsils, and adenoids. And rest 50% of the lymph, it is produced in the interstitial space of non-lymphoid tissue like liver. It helps in building the immune system. So with this, we finish this session. Thank you so much.